Let's see. Set my timer. And do that. I hope you don't mind if I have any wine. You're not going to report me, are you? I just said wine, and you said no, I'm good. What do you mean? What am I drinking? Oh, you mean the brand? I can't see from here, so I'm not. I can't recall. I think it's a Dessa. No, it's not that. Hello, Michelle. And you're asking too many questions. I am just starting to drink wine, so I can't even tell you what the difference is from what you type. I do know that it's red, if that counts, right? Yes. And like I normally do, I'm gonna wait a few moments because punctuality is not a behavior that many of us practice. So I'm gonna wait. But I have water to offset the wine, if that matters. I don't know if that matters. All right, we're gonna set this timer. How's everybody doing out there? And are you a wine drinker? You drink wine? I like wine culture. What does that mean, wine culture? What is wine culture? We are going to wait another minute and then we will get started with today's topic. But I don't know what wine culture is. Forgive me. So what is wine culture? Good evening. Wine culture. What is wine culture? Wine festivals, winemaking, the history. I've actually done some of those now that you told me what it is. I've been to a wine festival or two. I've done a wine tour or two, train ride that takes you through a vineyard and all of that. But I didn't care for the wine. It was the girl, the woman that I was with, or the women that I was with, they liked it, right? So they they cared for it. So I cared for it. So, but that's cool. That's cool. We are going to go ahead and get started. I think I've waited long enough. Yeah. So, good day to everyone out there. This is Dr. O again. It's been a minute, been a few weeks since I've had one of these sessions, so it's time to do another one. I do thank those of you who are currently watching and going to participate, and those of you who are going to view this later. Remember to hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you haven't already. Today I want to talk about sex and relationships, right? Men, from a man's perspective and a woman's perspective. We are gonna have some type of order to it, but like usual, I am going to let the wherever it goes. And like usual, if I say men or say women, some people have been offended. They told me they were offended in the past, where they think I'm talking about all men or all women, and I'm not. I'm kind of generalizing when I speak, so I'm not implying that it's all men or all women have a certain ideology or perspective, or that some women won't feel the same way as some men, and vice versa. So keep that in mind. With that said, what are some differences in how men and women view sex? And I want to look at this start from a sexual orientation standpoint, right? So with men, it's more physical. Surprise, right? with men, it's more physical. It's compartmentalized. But where men can make it simply about sex and just about sex. It doesn't have to be about going out or going on dates or let's go to the movies or let's meet your family. It's just that. I recall reading a study. It was a study that examined dozens of other studies, and one of the conclusions was that men had more, I think, positive attitudes about sex in uncommitted relationships. So, in other words, they were okay with just having sex with people. They didn't have to just having sex with women. There was nothing else tied to it. But anyway, for men, sex is a very high priority for us. Yeah, so it's a very high priority. For men, sex is viewed as intercourse. That's the biological function and the physical act to quench our desire, really. In comparison, women, it's more relational, right, as opposed to physical. It's more holistic as opposed to compartmentalized, where women, you all seem to connect. You connect it with your other desires that you may have, such as going on dates and establishing some type of emotional connection in other ways, as opposed to sex being the highest priority, like many of us men out there. Women, you all may have other priorities that may be placed higher on your desirability scale. So instead of looking at sex as intercourse or the physical act to quench your sexual desire as we do as men, women, I think, tend to view sex as intimacy, and this intimacy is more often an indicator of a deeper relationship or a deeper intimate relationship. So getting started with that, the question is what I said true? Do you all feel what I said, how men view sex and how women view sex? Why do you think those are true or untrue? Why do you think those are true or untrue? Again, this is looking at it from a sexual orientation type of perspective. Why do you think what I said is true or not true? So I want to hear your points. Is anything I said true? Not true? No, I don't like that. Very true. What stands out the most? So mostly true for men. If you're saying it's mostly true, you said, but it's mostly true for men, then is some what I said about women false? I think that women are negative. Okay. All right. So why are women negative? What's negative about a woman? And we're positive. And I think I kind of agree with you. I think the difference in opinion of sex by the genders is a matter of anatomy. Explain. Dig deeper in that for me. Women can compartmentalize too. Yes. And I don't know if you heard me at the beginning, Rashida, when I mentioned when I'm speaking, I may say men feel this way, or this is their ideology or perspective. And women, this is what women think or feel, or this is what they believe. I'm generalizing. So of course, you may find some on men who think like a woman in some ways, and vice versa. But I'm generalizing to the masses. So yes, women can compartmentalize too. I was with a woman like that, where I wanted to grow out. I wanted to do things and go on dates and everything. And she, the very first time we met, and I didn't learn this until like date 3 or date 4. But the very first time we met, she admitted that that entire first date, she just kept thinking, hey, how would he feel if I asked him if he wanted to go across the street to the hotel with me? And so it was all about one thing. And you said it's not as easy, but it is definitely possible. But does anything I said about men or women true? I mean, untrue. When I was talking about how for men is physical and we compartmentalize, it can just be about sex. We can get in there, get what we can and then leave. And we can do that consistently. We can do that for not just that time or for days. It can go on for weeks, months, or even years. And where a woman may see he's frequently coming back, or there's some type of he's frequently coming back, or he comes back every so often over a longer period of time, that must mean something. It must mean relationship. It must mean just like a longevity type of situation where no, we view it as access, where you're allowing us to come back. It's always been about sex and only about sex. But you think because it's been about sex and only about sex for this long period of time that it's something else, it's some type of connection. And it doesn't always have to be. So and I may be giving away some of our secrets, men, but just because we do something for a long period of time does not mean what you think it means. Women, we can still be compartmentalizing for a long period of time. It has to be relational for women because women have to take someone into their body. It's invasive, so it has to mean more to a woman. It's not for a man, it's just enjoyable for him. So it's not enjoyable for you, then? And I don't like that word, calling it invasive. Like we are invading your space. Literally, we're invading your space. We need your permission, right? It has to mean more to a woman. Why is that? In the true meaning of the word, not the bad connotation. Women are, okay, all right, I see. are both women are both women. Right? Women are born women because they embody a negative or magnetic energy. They rule the inner world. Men are positive. We penetrate. Okay. And we're in charge of the out. I don't I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what to say to that. And Rashida agrees with me. T, the whole invasiveness thing. Why do you feel that way? Because I'm gonna have to rethink all of my sexual relationships, sexual encounters. Did I invade these women? Did I do something bad? Yeah, I'm gonna have to rethink that. I'm gonna have to rethink that. I don't think I invaded them. Yes, they were saying stop, but it was like a no, don't stop type situation. So I don't think it's invasive. But for those of you just joining, we are talking about sex and relationships from a man and a woman's standpoint. And the first section, we were talking about sexual orientation, how men is more physical for us. We can compartmentalize. We can make it simply about sex and just sex. It doesn't have to be about, hey, let's go here, let's go there, let's go on vacation, let's meet the family. You don't want to see me in public, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And for women, it's more emotional. It's more than just sex. It's y'all have some type of emotional connection you're trying to establish, and where men, sex can be the highest of priorities in a relationship. But for women, you all can have more, and then how men, we see sex as intercourse, just a true biological function and the physical act to quench our thirst, whereas a woman, it's more relational. We were talking about that, relational, and you all take a holistic approach more so than a compartmentalized approach where you connect it to other things, and you it's more intimacy for you all, and that intimacy creates a deeper connection, and that's how you all see it. So I wanted to know, is anything what I'm saying true or untrue? So that's where where's Don Mega at? Okay. If women are negative energy, then why do men need us? Well, from Enigma's standpoint, we need you all because you control, or you're in charge of the inside. We're in charge of the outside. If we're doing too much on the outside, we need to come in, relax, and provided we're not being invasive and invading your space, you're needed. Sex is kind of like cake. I had this thing where, I don't want to say that. I think that's too X-rated. All right, so the woman is the cake, and I don't like cake. I don't really eat cake. I eat ice cream cake. No, I don't really eat cake. The cake will never really be the same. Oh. The woman is the cake and the man is the knife. The cake will never really be the same. I guess if he's big enough, it's never going to be the same. All right, so the knife can just be clean and go in and cut another cake. See, your statement reminds me of some of the Motown songs where they had some hidden meanings in it. And you thought you knew them, but until you really listened to them, remind me of a Smokey Robinson song and everything. But that's funny. So then, if women are like cake, at some point the cake's going to be all gone and used up, right? At what point does that happen? 30, 35, 40? At what point does that happen? I think it used to be that way, but this new generation is different. If you use any of the hookup apps, there are just as many women as men. Okay, right. And so earlier, I think you may have missed what I was saying. If I ever say men or women, not just in this one, but any of what I have. I'm generalizing. Of course, women can be the same, but I have seen that same trend as well, where what used to be true, where men were primarily one way and women were primarily another way, has seemed to start to cross. The vagina is a muscle, yes. Muscles, organ, self-cleaning organ, right, all of that. I really can't with this analogy. Okay. We are positive each needs to. Is it like a magnet then? Enigma? Cake cutters. Women are like a house or a church. Let's use house. I don't want to use church because of where I think all of the rest of this conversation is going to go. Women are like a house. You want to be careful who you let in. Men are just coming in and out of the rain. I don't even like to be out in the rain. You don't want random visitors in your house messing it up. What if they're really careful, and women letting a whole bunch of people in their house, but they're extremely careful? Does that matter? Okay. I was saying it stretches and it contracts. So the too big statement wasn't relevant. Well, not true. Not true. Not true. So I have a story, and I had just joined the military, I think, right? No. It was 3 or 4 years in. And a friend of mine wanted to have a threesome with this other girl. And that girl showed him, and she was messing around, or her guy. That girl showed my friend what he was working with after my friend hooked up with her one-on-one. And he said he could not do anything with her. He couldn't do anything with her. And it was almost like, he said, putting a finger in a bowl of water. And that's because when she saw what he was working with, when he saw what her guy was working with, she was so used to that, in that he now understood why she wasn't really satisfied when he was with her. And I don't know this to be true because I never went through that threesome with him, but he said he can hold his own. So I'll say that I can't say if what you're saying is true or not, me not being a woman, but I agree with, in the past, women would be more emotional and would save themselves for love. In today's society, the woman can be just promiscuous as men. That's true. They can be, to the liking of some of us men, right? Where we may like that. Choose who you let in your house. Women have to make sure only respectful people come in the house. I think we're way past the respectfulness of women, and especially in the young generation, based on some of what I'm saying. But she was currently sexually active. She slowed down for a few months. The feeling would be different, right? So yeah, you're talking about the bowl of water girl. Yeah, I think if she did slow down, but wow, we were in our early 20s. We weren't trying to slow down. We were trying to speed up. So he had to throw a hot dog down the hall. Let's. All right, women. So I got a question. More of a personal story. It's happened with, I think, 3 women I've been with, but all the stories are kind of the same. And I got close to these 3 women a long time ago. It was a long time ago. I don't know, 40 years ago. So when all of this really happened, and we were all good friends. We were all good friends, and we were real good friends. And I was always with somebody, or they were always with someone. And I don't know why it always worked out that way. In any case, so I wanted to get with them, and they wanted to get with me. However, they told me that they couldn't because they had feelings for me, and it wouldn't be about just sex. However, they were able to get with other guys who they didn't know, didn't care with. They would just hook up with them from time to time and everything with no issues. Again, they didn't really care for him, but they cared for me, and they couldn't just sleep with me. It would have to be some type of relationship, and they knew they couldn't because they were with someone, even though they were messing around, or I was with someone. And each time, that's how it always come up. So while I get the idea of wanting a relationship with me because they had some feelings, but they had no problem sleeping with someone else that they had no connection with. Now I have my thoughts on why that is. But I want to hear your thoughts. Is there truth in this from you, ladies, from your perspective? Is there truth? Is it easier to sleep with someone you don't have a connection with a couple times than, let's say, as opposed to someone you know well, but you know you can't have the type of relationship, the emotional connection with that you would want? So would that turn you off? Yeah, 60 years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Who was president? I think Nixon. No, wait. Reagan was president, something like that. He said, yes, there's truth to it. Why? Why is there truth? I'm not understanding why. Right. So it could have been just sex with me, right? It could have just been sex with me, and they could have went on about their business. Again, earlier I said, men, we can compartmentalize. We can make it just about sex. And women, you all would take sex over a long period of time as something else, but we can make it just about sex for years. So they could have slept with me, went on about their business, right, and came back. The topic is sex and relationships from a man and a woman's perspective. Hello, mother. So that's what we're talking about. But I want to know, is there truth in that story that I just said, that I just described? And if so, why? Why was it hard for them or easy for them to get with other guys who they barely knew, hook up with them from time to time, as opposed to someone they had some type of connection with, but because of that connection, they did not want to get with me because they would have wanted more? Yes, they were Black women. They were a little lighter. Well, two of them were lighter than me. One was probably my complexion. I guess I can understand, but for me, it would definitely have to be someone that I have feelings for and that I'm looking to spend a lifelong journey with. All right, so we're not talking about all that. What we're talking about, that the story was they did not want to get with me because we had an emotional connection. They would fight a handicapped person for me if I needed them to, whatever the case. But these other guys that they did not know, they would get with them and from time to time and then be okay. You can't be embarrassed with someone you don't care about, I guess, or your feelings can't. Right, okay, I see that. But is that with the assumption that something would happen that it would be embarrassed about? While y'all are answering that, let's move on. But I am interested in hearing that because for the longest, that kind of upset me. Because especially since we still remain friends and all of that, that kind of upset me. Because they could have been embarrassed based on that statement. They could have been embarrassed with me, right? The same thing could have happened, or they could have been embarrassed with the other person. Connections and relationships are cherished by some people. Two of them said that. Somebody should have trained. Okay, I'm tracking. Let's move on to the next. The first one was sexual orientation. How do men and women feel with that? Yeah, let's move on to something else. How true is it, or how do you feel about this statement that a man's response to sex is cyclical, whereas a woman's response is cyclical? Well, let me back up. So speaking of that, that's more of a question for a sexual response. So let's move into that, and I'll come back to that question. So men, we're quick to get excited on sex. We can see a woman, if we're into curves, we can see a curvy woman for those who are into that type of thing. And we can be at attention in 0.75 of a second, right? And women compared to men are generally slower to excitement. For men, it is difficult to distract us once we're in the act. It can be very difficult. Once we get going, then that's it. For women, compared to men, they're likely to be distracted more easily. And as I said a few seconds ago, men, we're more acyclical versus women are cyclical. And what that means, so acyclical is we're ready anytime, anywhere. In general, we're ready anytime, anywhere. We don't care what the house looks like, whatever. Cyclical, on the other hand, women are, at times, they're more interested in sex and not as interested at other times. Is there any truth or untruth? Is there any untruth in what I just said? Does anyone disagree with that? I did get put in that zone, and Mr. Campbell, and that was harsh. That was tough. It was a tough pill to swallow, because two of them were they were fine. Two of them were fine. They were, and it brings a tear to my eye now. And one was a monster in bed, because that's the thing. So we had this connection, and you're telling me all these things, and the hugs that you're giving me, they're not just church hugs. Somebody used the word church earlier. They're not just church hugs, and it was a lot of flirtation going on, where they were telling me all the issues they have with men, and I'm telling them what they need to do and how they need to go about doing it and everything. And I mean, we're even doing. I don't want to say all that. So yeah, I got put in a friend zone. It is a rough, extremely rough place to be in. Extremely rough. And then one of them changed their mind later, but I had been moved on and everything, so that wasn't a good situation. I heard to get fully aroused, it takes about 20 minutes. Who does it take 20 minutes to get fully aroused? You must be talking about a woman, because I don't know of a man that was alive now, that's going to be born in the future, that it would take 20 minutes. You must be talking about. I know women who get aroused very fast. Right, yes, right, so we do. And Don, you missed it earlier when I was talking about I generalize a lot. So if I say men, then I'm not talking about all men. If I say women, I'm not talking about all women. It's a statistic. Okay, I'm waiting for that. So based on what I just said, acyclical, anytime, anywhere. That's more true for men. Cyclical, and I'm gonna spell it so you all can look it up on your own time. Just so you know what I'm talking about. And it's so I've heard it called a cyclical or a cycle. And same thing as sick or cycle. Cyclical for women, just so you know. Okay. Don, where are you from? I think people wanna know. It takes a man 20 seconds. I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that. So I would disagree. Who told you it takes a man 20 seconds? Okay. All right. So that's funny. All right, that's another category. So let's look at sex from a stimulation and a needs standpoint. From a stimulation and needs standpoint. Ladies, we as men, we're turned on a lot by sights from what we see. We get excited or interested rather quickly by visual or physical stimulation. Sometimes it can be a word or a few words that are interpreted as something sexual. Let a woman say hello to me in the wrong way, and I'm gonna be thinking, does she want it? So it can be something innocent, but if we interpret it as something sexual, that can get us going. But for a man, it's sights, smell, the body. That'll stimulate a man, whereas a woman stimulated more by touch or actions. The man's attitude and the whole person, mental, physical, not just the physical body like a man. A man needs, and I think this is often overlooked by or lost by women, a man needs respect. A man needs respect, not to be put down. Men need to be needed, especially physically. We need admiration. Men, a woman, well, men, a woman needs love and understanding. They have emotional needs and may need more time to warm up to sex than we as men. Again, acyclical, like I talked about, and they would like time with us in a relationship more than just the time spent doing sex. And I think one thing to keep in mind for women is that a man's self-esteem in many ways is tied to meeting our sexual needs. It's more than just simply having sex with as I've had women, 2 or 3, I can't remember. Again, a long time ago, this was during the Nixon administration, and they just laid there, right? So it's not just tolerating having sex with me. All right, let's go take tolerating our advances or the act of sex. So we need, that's a blow to our self-esteem. And looking at this from an orgasm standpoint, right? Well, I'm gonna stop there. Is there anybody disagree, or is anything what I just said untrue? How a man needs and from a stimulation and need standpoint, how a man we're turned on by sight. We can get aroused quickly, and sometimes it's just the word sight, the physical body, but the woman, it's more of the holistic thing. Okay. Shoot, it takes a man 20 seconds. I don't know. That's so funny. I can't get past that. I'm from where the sun leaves footprints along the sky. So I've actually been deployed to the Middle East, and I'm trying to look at Okay. What kind of racist bullcrap is that? All right. So you're Jesus' cousin from the Middle East somewhere. Oh, Jesus is. Okay. That's funny. Now you're talking about a poster, right? What did you say? A poster. How do you know he's seen that poster? Something that said pick 3 words that you want to feel during sex. All right. What are the 3 words? That's very that's very funny. How can you tell she's a black woman just from that? How can you tell she's a that's funny. But so do y'all think is anything not true what I just said? Or men, we look at it from we're turned on more by sights, things we get excited, we're interested in from a visual, physical stimulation. Even words, just a few words can get us going. It's happened to me quite a few times. Say the wrong word that I interpret as a sexual word, or it doesn't even have to be any sexual innuendos in there. But how you say an innocent word too can get us going, make us think at least. And women, you look at it more the whole person, not just the physical like build of a man, but the whole person, the mental, the attitude, their actions. Okay. Okay. Tell you about people wouldn't have confused Sky. All right. Don, I think you're Don Meg, I think you're really going in and it's extremely funny, but somebody's gonna hurt you if they find out where you are. If they maybe they can just follow the footsteps in the sand and get to you. Okay. Okay. That's very funny. While y'all still talking about that, I'm gonna move on to let's look at this from a I really want to know your thoughts on this from a from an orgasm standpoint, where from a man's standpoint, an orgasm is a propagation about gender, right? Where of who we are. That's what a man is. That's what a man is. We have orgasms as a result of spreading our seed. We get a receipt. A woman, on the other hand, can sees orgasm as a propagation of togetherness or oneness with their partner. Why do you think we look at things differently like that? And forget, oh yeah, let me go into this a little bit. So a man's orgasm, it's seen as shorter but more intense, while a woman's is seen as longer and more in depth. For a woman's sexual satisfaction is usually possible without an orgasm, while a man usually needs an orgasm to be satisfied. So, and I'm not talking about, or let me make the distinction. Not so much the ejaculate part, right? But the orgasm part. And yes, ladies, and or maybe even some men, these are two distinct physiological actions, although they kind of happen simultaneously or experience simultaneously. Ejaculation is of course, the semen that comes out, while the orgasm is the pleasure and the relaxation. You can look at as the ejaculation as the physical and the orgasm as the mental. So they are two separate things. I've done one without the other. It's again, normally a simultaneous experience, but they are two separate things. So 2 questions. Ladies, is it true you can be completely satisfied without an orgasm? I'm gonna stop with that question. Do you consider it satisfying if you don't have an orgasm? Okay. Yes, Rashida, who you been talking to? Or who you been dating? It may be a popular poem and poster, but clearly I don't think Don has ever read it, heard of it, or even believed you. In any case, it sounded like you were being racist. Oh, okay, it was a joke. All right, well, that's good to know. That's good to know, I think. So I want to know, what do you all think? What do y'all? And make sure you hit that subscription button and that notification bell if you haven't already. But I want to know, ladies, is it possible to be completely satisfied without achieving an orgasm? I feel bad for him too. See, although Don feels women don't need them. Okay, why? Why do you feel sorry, T, and why, Don, do you feel they don't need them? And give you one good reason they cannot plant seeds. Okay. I don't know, maybe because you're satisfied and maybe they should be. I don't know. Okay. All right. You have to start taking responsibility for your own orgasms, ladies. That's what you're saying. How does one take responsibility for their own? What are you talking about? Okay. Good. Okay. Ladies, so Don has a good question. Why are you being greedy? Why? Why are you being greedy? Okay. All right. Now, there's a lot of fussing going back and forth between Don and who appears to be the ultimate man and ladies in here. If I'm talking, taking responsibility for my own orgasm, I don't need the man. And that's where I was going with that when she said, ladies, you have to start taking responsibility for your own orgasm. I wanted to know what does that mean? All right, Don. So you're not selfish. However, the woman can't be greedy. I think that makes sense. Kind of, sort of. When you've got it, that's just it. When you're turned on mentally, a lot of times it will transfer over to the physical. But attraction is necessary. Yes, so attraction is extremely necessary. But for a man, who is it more important for? Is it attraction? That's a good statement. Is it more important for the man that you think or for the woman? Right? Where for some men, you just have to have the right parts. Some women seem to have sex, but they don't actively participate. Yeah, so I went through that. I think I told you a long time ago. And I think I said the Nixon administration, but this was the Reagan administration when I went through this. And two or three that I was with, they just laid there. And it wasn't a good thing. I mean, there was an outcome. I had a receipt for my time, but they just laid there and they didn't actively participate. And then they had the nerve to call me again. And I went back, but still, they had the nerve. I'm not interested in you ladies and your crushes on me. Ladies, Don may be taken, so lay off of him. Clearly, he's not interested. I'm simply saying that these women believe They don't need a man if they can have an orgasm alone. So you can, right? You can drive your car with your feet or with your knees, but is it a good idea? Woman will let her poor brother pump his life away to continue to. I read a study. I mentioned a study that I read earlier. It was some years ago. It was a study about, or a study analyzing a group of studies. And one of the conclusions was that men had more positive attitudes about sex and uncommitted relationships. That same study found that men masturbate more. So I thought that was an interesting conclusion. No one wants Don, but since he's here, thank you. Thank you, Mr. O. It's Dr. O there, Don, but it's okay. I'm not saying. Like I say. All right. So that was the question. And I'm about to move on. Women, can you be satisfied without having an orgasm? From a man's standpoint, the answer is generally no. And again, I broke it down how there are two different physiological processes, right? Where ejaculation is one thing, orgasm is another thing, but they tend to happen simultaneously at the same time. So when I say orgasm, I'm actually talking about both that and ejaculation. Ejaculation is more of the physical, where the orgasm is the mental, the relaxation part. So I'm talking about both. And although they're separate, they usually happen at the same time, but they can be. I've experienced one without the other. So from a man's standpoint, from the perspective that, let's say it always happens at the same time, we aren't satisfied if it doesn't happen. I'm asking the women, can you be satisfied if it doesn't happen? Read up to, all right, you wrote this, you said you answered this question. Let me read up. Where it's so much, where did you write it at? Where is you writing at? Oh, I read that already. Okay. Okay. T, you're obsessing, and I do not wish to. Good statement, T. You say the bedroom is a woman's domain. It is an art. You have to make sure it's good for you too. Why do you think it's the woman's domain? Why do you think the bedroom is the woman's domain? Because if a woman wants a man to take charge and to lead and to do all of these things, why do you think it's the woman's domain? When they love you, they'll take that quickie to satisfy us. However, so I talked about that earlier. You missed that. Satisfying us, that could be it can be a great thing, but for some of us men, that's a blow to our ego in that you're just tolerating sex with us, or you're just having it to satisfy us. At some point, we may not like that. But then again, on the other hand, depends how we're looking at that relationship. Are we just compartmentalizing it? Are we just making it about sex with that person? And earlier I was talking about how men, we can compartmentalize, we can make it just about sex, where women, it would be more of an emotional connection, and how, unfortunately, and I've mentored some women on this, and that a man don't think of longevity as a relationship. We can compartmentalize and keep coming back for weeks or days, weeks, months, and years. And it can still just be about sex. And that's it. That's it. This is the man's domain. All right, so I agree somewhat, Don. I disagree somewhat with T was saying that this is a woman's domain, and it's an art. I'm not sure what the art is. I'm not really big into art. Letitia, why do you say this? while y'all are fussing and fighting with with Don. Yeah, make sure you hit that subscription button and notification bell if you haven't already. But I want to move in a different direction. So we talked about quite a few things. We talked about how, from a sexual orientation standpoint, and men being more physical, compartmentalize it, and it's usually a very high, or often the highest priority that we have as a man is sex, and we view it as intercourse, which is the biological function and the physical act to quench our sexual desires. In comparison, a woman, it's more relational. And then we talked about, from a sexual response, I was saying that it's acyclical for a man, meaning we are anytime, anywhere, and cyclical for a woman. At times, they're more interested in sex or not. Then we went to a couple other things, but I want to move to a different direction. And I want to hear how you all look at things based on these questions, and how you all look at things. And then if you think the other sex is lying, do you think they really believe that? So for example, so my first question is, what's your favorite way of letting your partner know that you want to have sex with them? What's your favorite way of letting them know? So men, what's your favorite way? And ladies, what's your favorite way? Or I'll say this. Ladies, what's your favorite way of letting your man know? But men, what's your favorite way of letting your ladies know? I think T is black, yes. Sex is sensual, spiritual, and healing. Okay, so that's a differentiation between men and women, one that I've kind of discussed. I mentioned that sex is a place where men come in out of the rain. All right, we make things comfortable and pleasant to include sex. It's our responsibility. I agree to a point. It's not just your responsibility, but I agree. That's why men want it. So I don't know if I agree with that. That's why men want it. We don't want it because you make it comfortable and pleasant. That has nothing to do with you making anything pleasant or comfortable. It's nice if you do. But again, earlier I was talking about, you say the wrong innocent word to some men. And I was one of them. You say the wrong innocent word to some men. And that's all it takes. I used to be the type, somebody say, good morning. And my mind was starting to wonder. But I hear what you're saying. Sex is an outward expression of love, but it's used to create love, causing marriages and children out of wedlock. Like, wait, where are you going with that? I smacked the bottom of his. All right, so Don is saying he lets his women, Ian, I think, know. The question was, how do you let your partner know that you want to have sex with them? I want to know what the men do and what the women do. Don said he smacked their bottom or kiss her. The women even get to initiate, since we don't even need to enjoy it. And that's something I hadn't talked about, is who's the initiator, and is that a gender thing? Are men supposed to be initiators, or doesn't matter? This woman does not know what she is saying. Who among you will agree with this? Okay. She does not enjoy it. She should meditate and stop this greedy behavior. So Don, you're saying it's on her if she doesn't enjoy it. I want to know what do you all do to let your partner know that you're what do y'all do to let your partner know that you want to have sex with them? That's it. Okay. I think Don is saying you're being greedy, woman, by wanting us to making us responsible for you having orgasms, for you being satisfied. Like all of that's your responsibility. I give him the I, all right? Okay. Just don't be cross-eyed, I guess. All right, so Don, what do you think women are for? That is a great question, T. What do you think women are for? It can be just a look. In my culture, we are lovers, so the darker foot women may not. Okay. Make moves. What are the moves, Black Sway? What are the moves? To let him know. Touching, kissing, playful gestures are some ways. Okay. Okay. That's a funny statement. Darker foot woman. Okay. 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 All right. Don, please don't just show up one day nearby because you're going to have some people after you. For those of you just joining, a question I pose is, what's your favorite way of letting your partner know that you want to have sex with them? I want to know from a man's perspective what they know, what they do, from a woman's what they do. And T, your message just came in a little slow. You said anything. What are you responding to? Are you saying you do anything to let them know? Women are to serve the man. I agree in general. A touch, grab her hand, kiss her neck, forehead, even these are key indicators. I agree. I agree. I agree. Now, Black Sway, do you ever do any of those things, but it's not that? Like that was not your intent. You just went and grabbed her hand or kissed her neck or forehead, and then that was it. The forehead thing, where'd you learn that from? There's a story behind that. She is still obsessing over me, doctor. I tell you guys, ladies love, but right. It's okay. It's organic. Okay. I'm gonna move to the next question. So what's off limits in the bedroom? What's off limits for y'all in the bedroom? What's considered off limits? That is true. Now, I do that, but didn't know why I did it. So that makes sense. It was a natural thing that I do, and I've been doing it, and I didn't know where I got it from. But that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Okay. Well, oh, I think it's about to be a tornado outside. Women be talking about pegging men on my Twitter timeline. Men, shut it down. That's good. What do I do? What don't I do? No, I'll stick to your question. And I think you're talking about when I said what I do. I asked about kissing on the forehead. That's something that I do. And it's I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. So what's off limits in the bedroom to you all? Oh, you guys are brothers. It's good to have a good brother if he's black. I've done it with no intent to sexually arouse a woman, but it's brought forth the feelings that a woman wants to express. Okay. You kiss me on the forehead, it's over. I'm all yours. All right, let me write that down. Don, take note. So if you ever see this person, that's all you got to do. So no R. Kelly for you then, Letitia. All right, I get it. What's off limits? For me, I think for me, off limits would be a threesome with a man, because it bothers me, or it would bother me and scare me if I look up and he's staring at me with his eyes. If I look up and he's staring at my eyes, like the whole thing is over, right? And now we got a different set of problems. So I think that's off limits. What else? Pegging. Somebody said that. That's definitely a no-go. I'm allergic to pain, so it can't be people using hot wax and stuff like that. That'll make me want to fight a girl. I can't think of anything else. No, over my 70 years or so, I can't think of it. I can't think of anything else. That would be off limits for me too. Threesome with a man, no thanks. Wait, what do you say? Expand on that. I've also used it with the exact intent, the lighter fluid, it just enhanced. Right. Threesome with two men. Okay, I got it. I'm out. Okay. All right. You got to be open to it all. Hot wax is only hot, only a quick second, right? So since I'm allergic to pain, when a person is allergic to something, they have an allergic reaction. My reaction to pain is body movements, right? Where my arms and my hands are ball into a fist, and my arms will arbitrarily move toward the initiator of that pain, or my hands will form this little choking motion, and that's involuntary reflex. So I'm that type of allergic. Okay. A friend of mine said a girl put her panties in his mouth while they were engaged, and he went. Okay. Oh, okay. I get it. What do? I just kind of show up, right? I mean, just none of this is an accident. So I just kind of show up. That's what I do to let them know that I'm ready. Other things I do. I don't know. I'm kind of reserved, right? I'm a reserved person, so I don't do, and I don't really necessarily think about it too often, or too long. Where if I see something mentally stimulating, I'll be thinking about it at that moment. But then I also have a whole plethora of other thoughts in my head at the time. But from a sexual standpoint, I'm kind of reserved, so I don't do a lot besides just show up, because that's really all I need to do. But from a active or actionable standpoint, man, what do I do besides just start taking off my clothes? That's what I do. Or I tend to bring them in and lay their head on my chest, and then take their neck and whatever. I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's a introspective or some reflection that I have to do, because now when I think about over the decades what I've done, it's I don't know, 65% of the time the woman has been the aggressor because they see me and can't keep their hands off me. And that has created a mindset of, hey, I don't really need to do much. But then there's been times where I've had to do things, and it would just be me, the whole forehead thing, or coming up behind them and grabbing them and bending them over and all of that. This is when the women were younger and they didn't have back problems, stuff like that. So I can't do some of the things that I want to do. Oh, that's going to take me to my next question. What's your favorite sexual position? Men and women, what's your favorite sexual position? What's your favorite sexual position? That's a tough question for me to answer. That's my favorite. I'm not talking about most frequent. I'm not talking about most frequent. I'm talking about what's your favorite. What's your favorite? I think mine would be my favorite, and I haven't, like, this was probably during the, I don't know, first Bush, Father Bush, his president. So what are you, in the late 80s? Or was it Reagan? I don't know. But I like the launch pad position. I like that. And then the Vietnamese oyster position. Those are probably my two favorite positions. Again, I'm asking what's your favorite sexual position, men and women. Not necessarily the one you do most frequently. The anticipation of mental stimulation that it takes over the phone before being face to face has to sexual experience as well. Okay. Llama style and tiger style. Okay. I'm not going to ask, but I'm going to ask, what's llama style and what's tiger style? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So from the back is a finishing move, ladies. Yeah, that can be a finishing move. That can be a finishing move. And then, okay. Missionary, that sounds so old. That sounds real old, missionary. So yeah, so those are my probably two favorite: launch pad position and Vietnamese oyster position. Definitely look those up if you haven't heard of them. Haven't done them too often, but I definitely, because some of it is the flexibility of the woman, their receptiveness. You don't want to be invasive, right, T? They have to be willing. Like my favorite, I think, foreplay is I think it's called a face-off 69 position, where so the man, like, he's up against the wall or bed or whatever, and the woman standing, she's facing away from her, butt in space, and then she just bends completely over. So she has to be completely flexible. So that's probably my favorite, but haven't gotten to do that because you have to be extremely flexible. Yes, so look those up. They are more than magnificent. Tiger style came from a movie. Who made the potato salad? The Griffith. Okay. Okay. Llama style. I don't know what llama style is. I don't know what llama style is. What were the names again? So you got the face-off 69 position. That I just love describing that. I don't know why. So that's when the man is sitting. He's on a up against the bed or up against the wall. So he's just sitting. His legs are, and he's sitting like I'm sitting now, my legs spread out. And the woman's facing him, like butt in front of him, and then she bends over, completely over, right? So that allows. I say like this is turned into like a sex session, therapy session. I didn't mean to go there, but anyway, so she bends completely over. She has to be completely flexible so she can get down and have her head there, and that allows him. I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it, so I want to stop with that. But the positions are the launch pad position. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then the Vietnamese oyster position. And I'll spell those for you or type them out. Leaning forward from behind her to grab her throat lightly and kiss her in the mouth. She just, okay. Right. So what are some others? I heard somebody say missionary, and that sounds extremely traditional and old school. Like that's what it was for me in the 60s. That's how that was. So look those up. They are wonderful. What are some turnoffs during sex for you all? I think I just have another question or two, and I'm gonna get ready to end it. why that look, T? The message just came through. Why that look? How that face? That's okay. I'm not saying anything you don't know. why the look, T? You gave that look. Okay. When men think every woman wants the same thing after you told them, it's not something you enjoy. So that's a turn off for you. Because with men, we can be egotistical. We can be, hey, this last person liked it, or they really. I don't like to compare people, especially women, from a sexual standpoint. I do not think it's fair, and vice versa. I don't think women should compare men. But I'm big against comparing women. I just don't think that's a fair thing, because especially knowing or believing that women see things from an emotional, holistic standpoint, whereas a man is more physical. I do not like to compare. So I get what you're saying. Fresh is a turn off. Women are wired differently for sure. Yes, they are. You missed some of what I was saying earlier about that. For us, we can compartmentalize. It's all about the physical. It's all about reaching orgasm, satisfaction, and all of that. When a man tries to be a DJ on your vagina, I'm not sure what that means, but I desperately want to know what that means. Kind of have an idea, but I don't want to. I don't want to say just in case I'm wrong, but I do want to hear what exactly that means. You should start singing, right? You should start singing next time. Just bust out a two. Just that's I think that well, no, because men, as I said earlier, is hard to distract us. Once we're in the act, let a tornado come, which I think one may be coming through here soon. Let a tornado come. We don't care. It's hard to distract us. So microphone check, right? Right. So it's just start busting out a tune, just start singing. I don't know, and whatever you're in the mood for. I mean, if it's jazz or country or hip hop, whatever. The hand motion that DJs do when they into what they're doing at the club, the fast hand motion. Oh, I thought you were talking about. He was like singing to it or something, talking to it. Okay, that's not as funny. That's not as funny. The hand movement. I thought you were talking about talking, but I get it. Yes, a woman loves to be led. Some do. I have ran into some dominatrix women. And I'm just looking around like, who are you planning on doing this? Like, well, you have a lot of stuff here, but who the hell were you? Like, who is this for? It must be somebody else coming right after once I leave. So I've met some women like that who they like to leave. Men that think they know what they're doing. You may have to teach them. Did you teach them? I know that's a turnoff of yours, you said, but did you teach them? What's a turnoff of mine? I have many, but I'm not going to say. I have many. I have many. What are some other turnoffs? And I think I'm gonna ask one more question, and then I'm gonna get ready to close this down. Would you rather a man that thinks he does not know what he's doing? So, okay. Good question. So T, you said a turn off for you is men that think they know what they're doing. Don said, would you rather have a man who doesn't think he knows what he's doing? Okay. Some of my turnoffs are oh man, need more wine for that. Don't alcohol give you courage or something like that, people say? Yeah, you have to express to one another what you like and don't like. I do. Communication in any relationship is extremely vital, but from a sexual relationship standpoint, I think it's critical. It can make and break relationship, because if I like a certain thing and you don't, and if that like is a need and you don't like it, nor do you do it because you don't like it, but it's a need of mine. So now it becomes a need that's not been fulfilled. I'm likely to go and find someone who is fulfilling. And I think that plays on both parts. So that's a very good comment. I'd rather a man understand that every woman is different and wants to be a tourist rather than trying to be the tour guy and you got it all wrong, but too arrogant to learn a new partner. Perfectly said, Rashida. And a few minutes ago, I said that I'm that same way, that I do not like comparing the women in the bedroom or just really at all. I don't like to compare. I don't think it's fair. Now, it could be a situation where they have similarities or they like similar things, but to assume that they like it or that all women are gonna like a certain thing is not the case. One of the reasons why earlier when I asked what are your favorite positions, not necessarily the one you do often or most frequent, and I said I haven't done my two that I would consider my favorite too often, is because I learned that while I thought it was the best thing since oxygen, my two positions, the launch the launch pad and the Vietnamese oyster position. And then yeah, I learned that everybody didn't like those things. So I had to be very careful. And in being very careful, it just kind of, the thought just kind of died. So I just kind of stopped and everything. And I had to learn that. First few times you're learning each other. Right there. You go through, you're learning them. But some are more vocal and you may know them before you know them. As someone asked me that, what are some of my turnoffs? That was the latest question. What are some of my turnoffs? I don't like starting and stopping. Like something always has to be going on. And if we're stopping because of we're both experiencing something, right? Like let's say it's extremely hot and we're both gasping for air. That's different than either I'm stopping because I'm tired and she's not, or she's stopping because it hurts, or she's tired. I have a problem with starting and stopping. I like that. I don't like to do that because again, like many men, we have a goal in mind. And you heard of premature ejaculation, where some of us have what's called delayed ejaculation, and that too can be a problem, an issue. And for me, it can be hard at times to, like, I'll go and go, and I'm like, damn, and I'm tired, right? So I want to hurry up. But then the stopping piece prolongs that even more, and that causes a mental. Why am I telling you all of this? Anyway, I already started, so I got to finish. It causes a mental. It puts me in a bad mental space. So that's a turn off for me. I had a woman get up, go use the bathroom, and then come back into bed and think we were going to finish. I'm not talking about going in there for a minute. She was in there for like 5-6 minutes. Never again. Nope, didn't go through with that. I don't know what was going on there. So that was a turnoff, but that only happened once. And others, I'm not going to say. Don't laugh at me. The couple does really well. The first time it can be a challenge because if you ever fall off, the two of you will desperately try to get the magic back. I hear you, Miles. All right. Yes, right. So she climbed back into bed trying to get on top. Like, no. First off, I don't know what you were doing. No idea what you were doing. And it doesn't even matter at this point because I'm at the point of, did this be just go take a dump? I didn't hear the shower. I heard the toilet, but not the shower, right? I heard the toilet. I heard water for about 15 seconds. And then I heard the door open and close. And it wasn't a room, so she got the room and then kind of around the corner. So it's not like she used the bathroom, got in the shower real quick. It wasn't enough time. Plus, I didn't hear the shower. So first off, I'm not sure what about me makes you think that that's going to be okay? What type of dudes have you been dealing with where you think, first off, look at me. Nothing about me says that's okay. All right, I don't know why. And she had the heart. Okay, all right, whatever. So no. I've been told that the first time is always weird. Who told you that? It's always weird if it's weird. But no, that's not true. Not true at all. So that's a turn off. And for those of you joining, make sure you hit that subscription button and that notification bell. But we've talked about a lot already. We talked about how men and women see sex differently, how men it's more physical versus women is more emotional. And a caveat to that is whenever I say men or women, I'm generalizing, and it can be either. But in general, men feel this, or this is their ideology or perspective in women. So that's how I always speak. But we talked about how men is more physical and we can compartmentalize, where we can just make it about sex over and over again, and how women will take that longevity as a relationship, for example. No, it's just been about sex for months or years. It can just be about sex. Or a woman, on the other hand, it's emotional connection, and they look at the holistic, where a man is about sight, curvature, and the body, and a woman can see the body, but it's more than just the body. It's the mental. We talked about how can women be satisfied without an orgasm? Now, for men, for us, no, not really. But for women, and I've heard that yes, it can be extremely satisfying without an orgasm. But I wanted to get those thoughts. Talked about how and when I use the word orgasm, breaking it down, I'm talking about the ejaculation and the orgasm. They are two distinct physiological processes or events. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of men I've talked to don't know that, because it happens simultaneously. You have the ejaculation, and then you can look at that from a physical standpoint, and then you have the orgasm, which is the mental, which is the relaxation and everything. And they can be separate. They've been separate for me before. You can make them separate. You're not trying to get a girl pregnant. You have the orgasm part, not the ejaculation part. We talked about just from a need standpoint, how it's more emotional for women, whereas the desire for sex may not be as high of a priority for women, how it is for us, for men, where it's usually, if it's not at the top, it's one of the top. And for women, it can be up there, but she can have other priorities, such as going out, doing things together, being seen, those type of things. And then now we're at the direct question part of it, and I was asking, like, what's your favorite way of letting your partner know that you want to have sex? And we heard from people such as Don and being funny and almost causing fights in here. And we heard from women who were trying to fight him. I think would like to fight him. Want to know what was off limits. There are a lot of different things. Pegging was one. Absolutely not. I'm not sure what that is. For me, off limits is, I think, a threesome with another guy, a woman and a guy, because I'm afraid of, if I look up and I see him staring at me in my eyes, like everything stops at that point. Every single thing stops at that point. And so that's kind of where we are. And then, no, I'm sorry, sexual positions we were talking about. Mine is probably the launch pad position, I think, or the Vietnamese oyster position. Look those up. Or somebody said tiger position and llama position. Oh yeah, I missed this comment. Yes, I was traumatized by that foolishness. So I was disgusted, but she had. Oh yeah, I'll stop. Yeah, it was. So that's where we are. Where we are. And my last question, and then I'll let y'all can post some questions y'all want everybody else to ask. I don't know if I want to ask that. I'll ask it. What's been your most embarrassing sexual experience that you've had? We've all had them. What's been your most embarrassing sexual experience that you've had? What's been your most embarrassing sexual experience that you've had. We've all had them. I think I've already told y'all way too much about my life that I should probably stop talking. Stop talking about my life. Okay. Why was she pleased? Wait, what was she pleased? Because you did that? Or okay. Men do desire sex more. I think that's kind of subjective. I missed that comment. I think that's kind of subjective. Well, no. I agree with that in general. We are hunters. We're designed to hunt, to spread. That's why we look at things from a physical standpoint, and we look at sex more from a biological, the act of intercourse, and we're acyclical. I mentioned that we're ready anytime, anywhere. As a woman, as opposed to a woman who is cyclical, where sometimes she's interested in sex more often but less at other times. So I agree with that. Okay, I see. Crying during sex was pretty embarrassing for me. Well, no. So it depends, right? Right, where I've had that, women would be crying, and I stopped. Like, is everything okay? She's like, no, it's just it was so good that the crying is, it's like if you won the lottery or something, you had great news and you start crying. So that type of crying is acceptable. Now, if you're just crying because you got to figure out how you're going to pay your electricity or something like that, different problem. I'm getting up and I'm gone. But crying isn't bad. What guys have you? I don't know. Okay. But I get it. That's an embarrassing thing for you, and that was the question. So I digress some on what I said. So I get it. Stop and can't finish because you're bawling. What the hell happened? I don't want to know. I do want to know, but don't say. If that were ever to happen to me, and they just crying and just couldn't stop it, it's not because of crying in pleasure, but they just literally crying like, what's wrong? I failed my midterm. I don't know. I think I would slowly get up, go wash off, get dressed. When he wash off, I would slowly get up, get dressed. Whatever I saw is what I would put on. Whatever I left, like socks, underwear, wherever I left, I just left. I'm getting up there as quickly as possible. And as I'm leaving, I'm calling the cell phone company and I'm changing my number because I cannot have you calling me again. Okay. 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 All right. Once upon a time, I kind of threw up. Okay. I want to know the details of that because I will laugh at anything. Somebody falling down escalators, whatever. It doesn't matter. But I don't want to know the details of that. Okay, good for you. See, practice makes perfect, or perfect practice can make a perfect section, or whatever the statement is. Good job. Embarrassing. Well, it wasn't embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for her anal sex, a bad situation from that. That was kind of embarrassing. I thought it was funny, but they were embarrassed. I still think it's funny, but they were embarrassed. So I was somebody talked about from the back as the finish move or whatever the case, whatever the case. So I was hitting it from the back, and I went to grab the girl hair, and when I pulled it, I flew off the bed. I didn't expect the hair to come from her head. I didn't know that it was not her hair. So that was kind of because I injured my shoulder, and because when you go, you want to pull, right? So you go and you want to. I was going to yank. If that didn't happen, I probably would have strained her neck or something because it was one of those pulls. Like, yeah, you're about to. So so that wasn't that that wasn't a good situation. It was not a good situation. I should have sued her. I should have did. Yeah. So like next time, I'm a disclaimer. What on you is not you because this ain't. I could have been messed up, right? This is before kids and everything. I could have. It could have been my neck. It could have been. It was a high bed. So imagine I would have. I wouldn't be sitting here right now if. Yeah. I didn't think about all that until just now. So. Right. Yeah. A good job. Uh, Starling's good job. It sounds like you've come a long way because you threw up on it. I would have loved to have been there just to see it all go down. Just to see it all go down. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm going to get the Lysol if you did that. Like, what am I doing? Because whatever I'm going to do, I'm probably going to make things worse, make you feel worse. Not by cursing or yelling or anything, just by my actions with the Clorox or whatever, and looking in looking online. How can I disinfect? And I would have been doing all that type of stuff. So I wouldn't say anything to you, but you would have known that, hey, what you did, no, it can't happen again. Gorilla glue. No, if you're saying, bro, the gorilla glue for the girl where I could have injured myself, or just let it be your own hair, right? It can just be that. It can just be your own hair, or tell, right? So tell me that, hey, certain things have to be off limits. We talked about that earlier. What's off limits? Don't do this because this is going to happen. That could have very easily been a statement that was made. And I would have been, all right, cool. But no, you had to deliberately almost kill a brother to like that's not how you get me to come back. Let me almost die in your house. That's not a good way for a repeat session. It's just not. It's not. It's not. Yeah, yeah. He was just stuck there. What? So was he just frozen? Like I know what this is, but I don't know because I've never had this, nor I've never heard of anyone ever anywhere ever doing something like this. So maybe that was it. I don't know what was beneath when I pulled because nor do I even care. That part escapes me. I remember her dimensions, her skin color, a tattoo. I don't remember anything else. I remember injuring my shoulder. I remember the ride home. I don't remember the what's the name. So like that part doesn't even matter. I don't even care about any of that. But it's the fact that I spent my time driving there, and something like that happens. It's not a good look. It just wasn't a good. It wasn't. She could have said something, and this was toward the end too. I think that was worse. So I didn't finish, but now I didn't care to because now I have a strained shoulder. Talking about I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? Lying to me? Almost killing me? What part? So it's attempted murder, right? It could have been. I should have sued. Wonder if that's why I've had shoulder problems in the military because of that. I don't know. Right. So what you got to do is, so if the man is just pulling the edge that's one thing. But if he gets a handful, like he's at the root, grabbing that part, unless you're bald headed, that part should be fine. Unless you're really thin hair. So you you get in there like almost like you're massaging their scalp, right? You grab it from that end. I think that piece that's good because then you're not pulling the edge. You're really pulling it from here. And if your hair comes out there, then you got a different set of problems because it's probably bleeding and all of that stuff. The hair is off limits. Okay. You got to open up some. Like the one girl, I mean, going down was off limits because she would always get sick, right? Now she's a beast, she said. You got to open up. It's got to be understood what's a go beforehand. It's a light grip. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna get ready to. Have you been injured during a sexual experience? You may be eligible for compensation for your pain, suffering, and shock. Call 1-800. Why does it got to be a fight? Because you pull a lockout. Why does it got to be a fight? Got to do better next time. Why am I responsible for your hair coming out? That's not fair. The guy who got thrown up on, he didn't get any compensation. If anybody's going to fight, it should have been that fool, right? He should have been the one fighting. Why am I going to have to get in a fight because I pull your lockout? It's just what it is. Yeah, whole lock. That's my hair. I'm not trying to be bald. You don't have to be bald. But if anybody's going to fight, it's going to be if I look down and there's vomit on me, right? If I look down and there's vomit on me, yeah, I would have done more than pull your hair if I would have looked down and I'm looking down and you're just throwing up on me. I think I would have tried to pull your neck off. Show up a little bit too. Shoot. All right. So you missed the part where I was asking, what are you into? What are you I don't think I asked. What are your turn ons? I don't think I asked that question. Yeah, I had got my wig pulled off. That's so funny. Yeah, that's I was describing. It wasn't a wig. It was almost like the ponytail part, but I was from behind and I pulled, and it was a hard pull because I was trying to. She was saying some foolishness that she shouldn't have been saying in a sexual way. So I was about to just dig in, and I pulled, and I went flying off and injured my shoulder because I fell off the bed and everything. So that wasn't a good time. It was a long time ago, I think, during the Reagan administration. So your wig come off, you stop it. What's the, and I asked, I don't know if y'all were here, some of y'all just coming on, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. I don't think, some of you may not have been here. I was asking what's the most embarrassing thing that have happened. And I think the winner is throwing up on somebody. She went down on him and threw up on him. What does one say to that? Massage, don't pull. All right, so Letitia, so you're saying, you're with someone, and they're, especially if they're hitting it from the back or whatever they're doing, you want them to be giving you a subtle massage. I guess it depends how their interaction is going. But if it's force and they're from the back or whatever, I don't know if I guess it's possible you can be thrusting fast or hard, but then your hands are going. I don't know how that would work. I'm eager to see what you would come up with that. All right, so you say you were 17 when that happened. You were still a person of conscious mind, and you were still performing the act. Do not blame your young age on throwing up on somebody. Not ever. So you could have been 17 or 77. The fact that you did it, you don't. No, we're not that. What that? Why does that matter? So what? You were 17. What does that matter? Please tell me what that matter. Why does that matter? And here's why I'm gonna let you ask. No, here's why I ask, because at what age does it matter? Okay, all right, I'll stop. But you keep providing the material. What do you want me to do? Just stop providing the material and I can't say anything. See, there you go. Or your messages are coming in a little slow. You say you were weak. Yeah, you had got rid of all your nutrients and everything. Yeah, you're gonna be weak when you throw up somebody, right? Because you're whatever came in sick and everything, and then you should start gaining your energy back and everything once you got rid of all the bad stuff that come out and everything. So, whatever. At that age, it's probably your first time doing it. All right, so you know what happened the first time I rode a bike? I fell, right? So I didn't throw up. You know what happened the first time I had sex with a woman, right? So I had an orgasm, right? So I didn't throw up. What is the throw up part? How tie that together for me? Okay, see, you provide the material. You want me to stop, but you keep providing the material. You said this was, what did you say? It was like your second time, which means it definitely was not your first. And if it was like your second time, then it could have been your third or your fourth, but it definitely wasn't your first. Now, Rashida, she does not have any, I can't give the break because it wasn't her first. Her first time I get, but after that, she should have known better. She should have known better. I'll say that. No, I'm not doing it. No. Where's my pen? I need to write that one down because that is hilarious. I'm gonna have to take a poll somewhere. The second time is basically her first time. All right, so if the second time is basically her first time, then why won't women give men more chances? If they mess up the first time or something, premature ejaculation or something like that, why won't they give them another try? Or why do they even talk about them? I've heard conversations. I've sat down with couples, sessions and stuff as a mentor and everything, and I try to mediate and like, young couples especially, and the premature ejaculation element to it, when we first got together, or we've been together for a couple of months, and he's a premature ejaculator, et cetera, or we've been together once or twice, they would make that a big deal. If the second time is basically the first time, why is that not applicable across all subjects? So, all right, so now you're 17 and you're dumb, right? Right? Or at least you're not wise. If the guy was abnormally large, what possessed you to do that? Well, it was something that brought you back a second time. Okay. I'll lay off. I'll stop because I will keep going and going and going. And I'll keep going with the subject. Well, it shouldn't matter if she threw up on him. If you put your finger down your throat, anyone will throw up. Well, no, because she's not the only lady who's ever performed oral sex on a man. However, she's the only one that's ever done that. Yes, it does happen, right? And that was an embarrassing moment for me, anal sex with somebody, and y'all can guess the rest. I didn't find it. It was kind of funny to me, but it wasn't to her. She was embarrassed. Yes, in your. I said I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. Yep. Like he literally ripped through you and everything. Yep. Causes you to be sick and have to go. Did you take antibiotics? Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. So you are passing blame onto him. Stop it. Stop it. All right. Anything else you all want to talk about? I recognize there's some people on here I hadn't recognized. Make sure you hit that subscription button and notification bell. And if you haven't already, but anything else you all want to talk about before I close? Not you, Stallings. Don't say anything else because that's going to keep me going. And I know there's some latency, so I won't say anything for the next couple. Men should stop pushing a woman's head down. Well, what if they don't go down by themselves, T? Then what? What are we to do? Or some women like that, right? Some women like that. Because I've done that. I've not done that in the past, or just had my hand there, but then they'll take their hand and push my hand on that's already on their head. So what do I do then? What do we do then? I like how y'all are coming to her defense saying if he did that to me and pushed my head down, I would throw up too. You don't have to act like what she did was okay. Nope. All right, so yeah, so the whole 30-second thing, earlier I was talking about premature ejaculation and how that is an issue, a medical issue. And the goal of men is to finish, not necessarily finish in a certain amount of time. Well, there are different studies out there that talk about the longevity of a session and what's the average and everything. But the other side of premature ejaculation is delayed ejaculation, which some of us suffer from. And it can kind of switch. So you can have a delayed ejaculation issue, but be premature every once in a while and vice versa. But delayed ejaculation is on the other end where you want to, but you just can't. And it's taken so long to happen. Leave her alone. She doesn't want it or readjust anyway. Be patient. I get that. So don't push her head down. But again, what if she does? What if she does want you to? Let's say she does it once, right? So that happened to me in the past. I just have my hand on her head, and she would take her hand and push my hand down like she wants that motion. So if she does that a couple times, more than twice, because for some of us, the second time is really the first time, right? That's what somebody said about something. So if she does it more than twice, so if she does it at least 3 times, I see that kind of as a habit. So if let's say she does it 3 times and then nothing happens for the next 17 times. That's a nice round number. For the next 17 times, do I assume that she no longer wants it, or do I do that? Take it on the chin. That's Stallings. I was trying to show off. Yeah, you were trying to show off, and yeah, somebody should have taught you. We talked about being trained earlier, and somebody should have taught you that showing off, bad things happen. Literally. Literally. Magic tricks. Speaking of magic tricks, no, I won't tell that story. You've never done it, so you wouldn't know what it takes to patience lends to a better experience for both. Right, but nobody's ever vomited on me. Now you can hear the gagging, but see, a more mature mind will stop. Once they hear or feel the gagging, they'll stop. A more mature mind. But I guess at 17, it's kind of not mature. But you're a beast now, so what does it matter? Why are we still talking about this? Yes, that is a reason why it can be delayed ejaculation, right? That's one reason, yes. I like it, but don't shove my head down. Be gentle. Yeah, if they shove your head down, right, Stallings, it'll bring back some bad memories for you. You may start crying. Like somebody here said, they just was bawling, crying. I asked what's an embarrassing moment, and someone said that they were just crying and crying, not crying because of pleasure like you won a lotto, but crying like they felt their midterm and they just couldn't stop. So the whole thing ended. So yeah, be gentle with her. You never know with her. Women need a hit. Well, they sell gag reflex ointment. Yes, they do. They do sell gag reflex ointment. Maybe not years ago. I don't know how old she is, but they do now. All right. Anything else you all want to talk about before I close? And I've kind of been closing for like the last 15 minutes. So, which is okay. But I want to know if y'all want to talk about anything else. I don't know what the thumb in the hand for the gag reflex. I've never heard of that. So yes, we may get all into it, but we do know what we're doing to the woman, unless the guy you're with is not aware of his surroundings. He should be aware of what's going on. Like it's been seen on here, some women don't know what they're getting into. First time or the second time, right? Anything else y'all want to talk about? I will go ahead and close as I do, but I will answer some latent messages that come in. This YouTube it be slow at times and everything. T, don't say that. Take responsibility for your own orgasms, lady. Why do you need a man then? We already went through this. Stop it. You can drive a car with your knees and your feet, right, and your elbows and whatever else. Is it a good idea? Stop it. All right, so let's close. What did we discuss today? Sex and relationship, men versus women. Talked about it from a sexual orientation standpoint, right? Where men, for us men, is physical. And again, when I say men or women, I'm not talking about all, I'm just generalizing. But for men, it's more physical. We can compartmentalize it. We can make it simply about sex. And it doesn't have to be, for us, it doesn't have to be about going out or meeting your family, your friends, or going on dates or anything like that. And I talked about a study that I had read some years ago, and it was a review of dozens of studies, and one of the conclusions was that men had more positive attitudes about sex in uncommitted relationships. In other words, they were okay. These men, they were okay with just having sex and nothing more. It kind of spoke to my beliefs and what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, and how men we're physical. And for men, sex is a very high priority, sometimes even the highest priority. And we view sex from an intercourse. We view it just as intercourse, which is the biological element and the biological function and the physical act, which we use to quench out any sexual desires that we have. But in comparison, women, it's more relational to you all, as opposed to the physical. You look at it from a holistic approach, whereas a man may be excited by sights, curvature on a woman, sounds, smell, even perfume, for example. Where a woman, it's not. It's more emotional, the connection. It's touch and a man's attitude and not just their physical look to a body. It's the whole, the mental as well. And then we kind of transition to talking about sex from a sexual response standpoint, in that I was describing how men are cyclical, which is anytime, anywhere, we're ready. And women are cyclical, where sometimes they're interested in sex more times than and other times that they're not. So we talked about that, and how that's just one apparent difference between men and women. Then we looked at it from a stimulation and needs standpoint, which I've already kind of uttered already. We talked about from an orgasmic standpoint, can women be satisfied? Can women be satisfied without having an orgasm? Reviews seem to be kind of mixed on that, but from what I know, the empirical studies that I've read, the women that I've talked to over the decades, answer is yes, they could be. But from a man, it's no, because the orgasm is our receipt. It's our receipt of we just did something. And I broke down how orgasm, when a person's talking about orgasm, they're associating that with the ejaculation part, but they are two distinct physiological elements or events or actions, where the ejaculation is the semen leaving, the semen ejaculating leaving, and the orgasm is the relaxed, the physiological, the mental piece. So you can look at the ejaculation as physical, the orgasm is it's more mind, and it's possible to do one without the other. I've done that before, and it happens simultaneously. So most women and men I've come across just don't know that. And then we kind of talked about some questions, and more people came on with that, and just what's your favorite way of letting your partner know that you're interested in sex? What's off limits in the bedroom? What keeps pointing out to me was somebody said pegging. I don't know. Absolutely not. What are some turn-ons? We talked about that, and then some of your sexual favorite positions. Mine was the launch pad position and the Vietnamese oyster position. So try that, Stallings, and see if that will make you sick or not. Just take your antibiotics, I guess, beforehand. And then we talked about some embarrassing sexual moments and some turn-offs and everything. I will say, men and women, we both like sex and we both enjoy it. If it's good anyway, if nobody's getting sick or crying or anything like that. I think men, I think we tend to enjoy it even if it's not good. I've had women just lay there some many years ago and everything, and then they had the nerve to call me again. Anyway, we like what we like. So as long as you like what you're doing, do what you like. Do what you like. On that note, I'll look at a few more and then we'll close it. Oh, that's funny. You better not say again. It takes much for you on for that. If I don't feel like going 3 rounds and a lady wants that, I won't even. Okay, all right, bro. Like driving for Uber, you got to feel like driving, and you can't get paid. Not sure where you're going with that. What's too long or too short for a session? I think that's kind of subjective, right? So what's the goal? Is the goal to finish? You were asking what's too short. What's the goal? Is the goal to finish? Or from a man's standpoint, is the goal to finish or to brag? Is it to finish or to satisfy? So what's the goal? If the goal is just orgasm for both, the session, there's no such thing as too long or too short if the goal is reached, in my opinion, for both. For both. Foreplay beforehand, of course, yes, I like it's called the face off 69 position. That's probably my favorite foreplay type thing. That's when guy sitting up like I'm doing now, and legs are out, and the woman's standing up in front of them, butt is in their face or whatever, and they're facing away, and then they bend completely over right there. It it's a fabulous thing. Give that a try. It's a beautiful thing, actually. I feel like if the session is too long, you must have some whack. It may not be that. It may not be that. It may not be that. And without breaking down from an empirical standpoint and medical perspective more so, there are many reasons why it can be delayed and too long. You got your environment, heat, cold, whatever, even the blood sugar of the person and everything, and it's a lot involved. Check that out. So it's not just that. Women love when we moan in their ears too. I love to hear men moan. I feel like I'm doing my job. Not if they moan and then they throw up. A turn off being silent, right? For men. You can get a nut by yourself. So to interact is to reciprocate the feeling. All right. So I do thank everybody. I think I'm going to end it there. I did not expect this to go well over 2 hours like it's been, but it was a great discussion. And please check out my other videos that I've already had posted. I've been doing this for probably 2 months now, I think. I have quite a few out there, but I'm gonna get back to trying to do it once a week, once every 10 days or so. So make sure you hit that subscription button and notification bell, and that way you're notified. And thanks for those who participated and who spoke up and who were candid with their experiences. I think it's important for all of us to, or for people in general, not necessarily all of us, as we learn to voice some of the things, because it's nothing but comedy for many of us. But in all seriousness, I do thank each and every one of you for what you do and how you participate. Again, hit that notification button and that notification bell and subscription button if you haven't already. And this is Dr. O signing off.